I don't know what to say, guys. I'm here with the legend. He needs no introduction. Hey everybody, I'm Mike.
And I'm Janet.
And welcome to our channel, Mike's Philippine Retirement. Now let's get to today's video. Oh, thanks for coming to our channel.
Nice to be here. Nice to be anywhere.
Nice to be anywhere. At our age, as long as we're not pushing 6 feet of dirt up, we're in good shape. So, you've been in the Philippines how long?
Pushing 6 years.
6 years before I got to stop. The reason I bring that up, I had some viewers ask me about different lifestyles here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And the one that's starting to intrigue me is the guy that wants to come here and like part-time here. He's here 6, 8, 10 months, and he goes back to the States or wherever he goes. Maybe he has a seasonal job. Have you encountered anybody in that situation?
I absolutely have. And these are guys that they don't want to let go of what they've got in America because they have very strong family ties. My one good friend, he's an avid fisherman, and he has the financial capacity to stay here for 6 months, enjoy his life. He has his girlfriend here. They have a mutual understanding. When he goes home and sees his family, his kids. He goes fishing. He's a very social creature. He does his thing. He does take care of whatever business has to happen, and then he comes back. And he's just blessed in the fact that he can go back to America. And when he goes back to America, he's longing to come back to the Philippines. A lot of guys get into a routine here where they get bored, or they find themselves with nothing to do, or they start, worse, taking it all for granted. And then all it takes is a little trip back home to America to snap you out of that.
Get back to reality that it's great over here. Yeah. Now, a guy who wants
their tune.
a guy who wants to do this 6 months or whatever the duration is.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to find a place to live. You'll either be like island hopping, you'll be in Dumaguete one visit and maybe Iloilo the next visit. It would be hard to like run a house for the whole year unless you're blessed financially to be able to do something.
That's the key, I think, is the financial ability of the guy. Can you do it on a shoestring? I imagine. But I really think that you need to be in a secure position, a little above the average there financially, in order to pull that off.
Yeah,
you need to have a residence or a place back home to park your car and hang your hat, if you will. There may be family, friends, whatever that can accommodate you. And then when you come back out here, there are places that will rent to you for a limited amount of time, and then as long as you pay the freight, they'll store your stuff and keep your place available if you have those dates already pre-booked. So you can just keep coming and going right back to the same apartment. And I think I was talking to you a little bit earlier about that. There's a friend Ed that does just that at the Mar Palace Apartments. They'll rent to him for 8 months. He leaves, they keep all of his stuff in storage. He goes home, does his thing. He gives them a date that he's going to return. Those 4 months that he's gone, they've rented out for those 4 months, so everybody wins. Nobody loses, they don't lose any money. He comes back and he's right back into his old apartment. So it's doable. But again, it's a matter of being financially able to pay for the plane tickets and the lodging and all that kind of stuff. As far as going back and forth, it's just a matter of, like myself, I sold my house, I sold my car. I've got my sister's couch, and now that's been taken pretty much away because she's at a point where she's requiring care and helpers and whatnot. You know, we just all be bumping into each other, you know. So if I was to go back now, my only option is a hotel.
Hotel or short-term rental.
Yeah.
And the other group of people that are looking for different ways to be here they're older expats.
Yep.
They don't want a girlfriend.
Right.
They don't want to get married. They want to come here for the financial, you know, ability to live a peaceful life.
Right.
Hang out with whoever they want, do whatever they want. But they're going to live somewhere, but they don't want to be alone. The other options I always think of as like a housemaid or a live-in housekeeper. You know anybody that's been doing that way?
No, I do know guys that, well, I guess I know guys that do have housekeepers and maids and whatnot. But when I first came over here, that was my plan. I was strictly on an economic wavelength. I knew that there were relationship opportunities over here, but it wasn't my number one objective. That changed.
Life has a habit of changing.
Yeah.
So I've done some research into this
Yeah,
for one
okay.
guy, and he said, I found you can get a good housekeeper for about 10,000 pesos a month, maybe a little less, live in, or somebody that just shows up at 8 o'clock in the
Sure.
morning and works the day for you.
Sure.
And you can use her to take you shopping. She can
Yeah.
go with you, or you just give her a list of what you want,
Yeah.
and she cooks you a meal.
Yep.
And because the one thing I don't think you want to do is to be cleaning a house when you
No.
come here to retire. It's
No, you're
a different
retired.
kind of mess. It's a different
Yeah.
kind of way of cleaning here.
Yep.
So
You don't
I always,
vacuum here.
yeah, you don't vacuum here, and you can get a nurse to come in if you need a little bit of medical assistance,
Sure.
if certain shots, or you want someone to come by and just check on you every once in a while. They're all available.
Yep.
And there's also I saw on the other side of town a caregiver's house. Now my ex-wife, who was Filipina in the States, had a house with 7 bedrooms, and she had elderly in each room, and she hired 2 nurses that were there to take care of them during the day.
Mhm.
And I believe that's available in some places in the Philippines.
Well, yeah, there's actually one that's going to be coming up soon that I'm going to be doing a blog on in a couple of months. I'm keeping it kind of under my hat right now, but I think it's going to be an attention getter. It got my attention when I heard about it. So that'll be coming up in a couple of 3 months.
Now,
But what a guy can do out here is, if you're not interested in settling down with somebody, that's the last thing on your mind. You just want to come over here, save your money, live on your pension, or Social Security, your income stream, which may be limited. That is definitely doable. And then to have somebody, I did it for 2 years. That's how I lived. And I would have somebody come in once a week and clean. I didn't need any medical attention or assistance that way, but that's definitely available. I would say the biggest challenge with that is the reliability. There are a lot of cancellations. There are a lot of these women that will sign up for the job and not show up. They will show up once or twice, and then they have their own crisis or emergency. And so just finding someone reliable might be the biggest challenge. But once you do, you're cool for school. You know, you've got it dialed in.
now on the other aspect, a lot of guys say they don't want to ride a motorcycle in Dumaguete. It's too
Right.
dangerous, or wherever they're at.
Right.
And they can't afford a new car. Cars,
Right.
they're not cheap, just like everywhere else.
Right.
So they have these 3-wheeled chariots.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a Baja, or it's a 3-wheeled motorcycle with the driver in the front, and you got 2 seats in the back.
Right.
These are an alternative for transportation.
Absolutely. I'm not a fan of those, but that doesn't mean they don't serve a function. Yeah, those guys that are either too old or unable or whatever to ride a bike. I recently just bought a car because I've realized that my reflexes, my reaction time, all that's diminished tremendously since I even got here. And so to me, it was a need, not a want. But yes, that is a middle-of-the-road type of deal that a guy can have, understanding that he's probably not going to be taking big, long trips on it.
No, this into town
It's
shopping.
just popping into town, popping out. It's just a matter of getting used to the traffic. And absolutely.
Yeah, because
that
I
is
know
a
you can
good
buy
solution.
you can buy new ones from, I'm going to say 3,000 up to 6,000. I don't know how much exactly how much they cost, but they're doable price-wise.
Absolutely.
And then if you don't get a motorbike or you don't get a car, what about public transportation? How do you find it here in Dumaguete if you didn't have any means of transportation?
Myself personally, it wouldn't cut it.
Okay.
I did it for a while, and it was about 2 weeks where I was taking trikes and I was taking jeepneys, and I found, for my own personality and my lifestyle and my independence, I like being able to go when I want to go.
So-
So sitting at a bus stop or trying to wave down a trike, if you try to find a trike at 10 o'clock at night, it's not
Good
going to
luck.
happen.
Good luck,
Or
yeah.
if you live in a certain area, they're just not there. And so for me, that didn't cut it. I did it for about 2 weeks simply because I was too scared to try to ride a motorbike. Once I got over that, I went and rented one, and my whole world opened up. I was able to go and when I wanted to, where I wanted to, and I thought it was awesome. I've also seen guys that are doing just that. They only ride trikes, they only ride public transportation, and they tend to be withdrawing. These are guys that I knew 4 or 5 years ago, and it was great at first because it was fun. You know, getting on the trike and having a driver. It's kind of like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride the first few times
Yeah.
you're on it, you know. It's like, this is great. It's loud, it's noisy, it's bouncing all over the place. It only cost me this many pesos. But then you realize that, hey, I want to go from here to there, and it's 20 miles away, and it takes hours to get there. And I've watched these guys, and they tend to become homebound over time.
I found that,
Frustrating.
yeah. I never rode a bike until I came here,
Right.
ever in my life,
Right.
Motorbike. And
Now,
it
did
took
you
me-
try the public transportation thing
At
for a
first,
while?
I was in
And what did
Behold
you
for
find?
2 months. I took a trike or a jeepney. It was expensive, uncomfortable. I would have those days where my back hurt for a couple of days,
Yep.
riding stiff. And for my first 4 weeks here in Dumaguete, I rode a trike from the Valencia area down into Dumaguete proper. And going down the hill was easy. You know, it's
Getting
just
home.
a 20. Getting home, how much, the hassle, and you know, you'd have to take 3, 4, 5 times as much as you should
Right,
just getting home. But going down was easy.
right.
Once I got the bike, it is like heaven.
It
Janet
was like
and I-
night and day, huh?
Yeah, it's night and day. It took me a little bit to learn to ride it. We're glad we lived in a unpopulated, but an unpopulated, sparsely populated area
Right.
to ride the bike. No one's on the streets. And
Right.
it's really not that bad. I think it looks worse when somebody puts a GoPro on their helmet and goes through the traffic than it really is. It's really not that bad. And I did see some stoplights in Biowan
Uh-huh.
when we were there. So they're coming. I don't know when, but someday we'll have red lights there.
Well, as far as riding the bike, I'll confess, it was really, really nerve-wracking for me. But every day it got a little less scary, a little less scary, a little less scary. And pretty soon it's almost like a collective, like platelets going through, you know, your veins. There's just sort of this, I don't know, it's just, you're all kind of in the same rhythm.
I just call it organized
And
chaos.
you just sort of go when everybody else goes, and I show a lot of patience, so I go slow. I stop and let other people go if I think there's an inch of vulnerability there going through the intersection. I just play it safe, and I just allow enough time to get to wherever I'm going. And if I show up late, oh well.
I get next to a trike or another car and use them as a blocker going through the
Absolutely.
intersections
Absolutely.
and all that.
Absolutely. It's knowing to always be aware of your surroundings. I have found the closest I've come to death, and it's come a couple times, is when I let my mind wander. Because everything's open, everything's fine. And I'm on the open highway, there is no traffic. Now that would be perfect until a dog runs in front of you. And you're not paying attention, or I'm not paying attention. And whack, down I go. So, that's that.
Do you consider yourself a pro rider now?
No.
No? See, I do.
No.
I consider myself a pro until I hit a tree, and then I'll go back to amateur status and start all over again. So the last thing that people have been asking me, and since you've been here so long,
Yeah.
they get here and they don't have an online girlfriend. You know, everybody says, stay off that online, come here and meet. But they're having trouble meeting girls here in Dumaguete compared to Cebu City or, you know, Manila. Do you find when you first started looking for that girl, and not the one night stand girl or the party girl,
I
but
understand.
the serious girls, you find it hard to meet them?
No.
You didn't find them? They weren't shy to
Well,
meet. They didn't
again,
show up.
I think it was the fact that I didn't have an agenda. So I had girls, or women I should say, that we would hang out and we would be consecutive for a couple, 3 days. And they would say, so are we boyfriend and girlfriend now? And I'd look them in the blues and say, no, I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I was just honest with them. And 3 or 4 of those women were still friends to this day. Because the biggest mistake you can do, in my heart and mind, is lie to somebody.
Yeah,
or
make a
create
false promise.
expectations, overpromise and underdeliver. And there's no point in it. If you just tell somebody, look, I'm not looking for a girlfriend. If you want to be in the friend zone with me, that's just as good. The physical connection doesn't have to be there. You got a friend for life. And there are still women that I know from 5 years ago that I'm still good friends with. And we hung out, and at the end of the day, I didn't meet May until I was here 2.5 years. And that was just an accident. But she was that one girl that I felt a connection to. And it just sort of grew from there. Here I am 4 years later, and I'm married.
You're married now.
So,
Now, do you think it's different? The guy that comes here for a month or 3 weeks,
yeah.
and he's trying to meet a girl, and he's hoping to meet a long-term relationship, but he's going back in a couple weeks. Do you think the girls here are wise to that? They're really not going to hook up with a vacation guy that easily.
Yeah, I don't really see the point in that. If you're coming out here for a month or two and you're trying to enter into a relationship, that doesn't even make sense on paper.
No, not on paper. But their hopes are they meet somebody, they'll get them to come back to the States with them.
Oh.
And I don't think they realize what a long process it is to take a girl back to the States. It's not that easy.
That's next to impossible under those circumstances. You just meet somebody, you know them for a month, and you're going to bring them back to the States. I think that was easy years ago, back during
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Pre 9/11.
Pre 9/11. That was a lot different.
Yeah.
And usually those ended in disaster because you didn't know each other. And
I had the.
I can't even fathom that whole scenario.
And the other one, and this will be the last one, is the guy who makes the total commitment to one girl that he's met online. He sells everything. He sells his car. He comes over here. They get an apartment together. They're together for a month and a half, and then they decide we don't like each other.
Yeah.
And now this poor guy is either stuck, emotionally just done. Maybe it was his choice, but then he goes back home to nothing. He sold. Hopefully, he saved his money, or he made some money on the sale of everything. But I have stories of guys who go back home and they're living with their mom in the basement because the Philippines didn't work out because they wanted it with one girl. Don't you think they should be coming here to come and live in the Philippines and not necessarily to settle down with one girl?
I've been proven wrong on this a lot, but I still stand by it. I'm not a fan of the long distance relationship. I get it during COVID because there was no way to get here. And so you were bored, or you were trying to make plans or gain information, so you were talking. But for me, I think the real proof is in the pudding, is buy a plane ticket. I have guys contact me because my wife's got a channel and she has some pretty ladies on there. And they say, hey, how do I meet that girl? And I say, well, first off, buy a plane ticket.
Plane ticket. Take a vacation.
There's step number one. And then I'm not going to introduce you, but if you happen to bump into her, cool. I know she's here.
I get a lot like
that.
that.
So the whole online thing, I've seen it work. I've seen guys that have talked, they've met, they hit it off, they got married, or they didn't, but they're still together 10 years later because they had a lot of chemistry for 2 or 3 years during the COVID deal. So that's a new dynamic. But honest to engine, I think we can get out here. The best way for a guy, if he's interested in meeting someone, is Facebook. And you start to make Facebook friends, and then they have friends, and they have friends. And the whole concept of dating out here is different. A lot of women will meet you, and after 2 days, they think that that means you're fully committed. Where back in the States, the women don't have that attitude, and neither do the men. I mean, you see each other for an extended period of time, and you find out if it's gelling, if it's working, and then maybe you take that next step, and you give up your apartment and you move into hers, or vice versa. So I still had that mentality. I said, no one's going to live with me until I know that it's a solid deal, and that's the way to go.
When I came,
I don't know. What
I
do
had
you
none.
think? You think
I
that's
had-
an online thing from America to here?
I think you're going to meet girls online. I don't think you're going to come to the Philippines unless you talk to girls online. They're going to trigger your interest to come here. You're going to chat with them. You're going to give them load. You might fall prey to the phone, and it might not be a scam. It might be that they need one to talk to you. We all met girls online before we came here. We all chatted. We know what Filipinas look like and how they act. And inside, that's the kind of girl we wanted. But don't be so drawn to that one girl until you totally meet her. You might like her as the culture of the Filipina girl. You might like how they look, what they call it, yellow fever. But you have to like living in the Philippines. No matter how much you like somebody, if you hate living here every day, you're going to leave. And that's not going to be a relationship. You have to gear your life here that you like being in the Philippines. And this is your home. It's just like back in the States. If you like Las Vegas, you'll meet somebody in Las Vegas. If you like Philadelphia, you'll meet somebody in Philadelphia. You're not going to move to a different city just for the hopes of meeting somebody. You're going to move to a different city because you like that city. And you move to the Philippines because you want to live here in the Philippines. And then you meet the right girl. And you make friends online. You make acquaintances. It's great to get off that plane and know there's somebody there other than an old YouTuber that you can talk to and go out and have a first date with and get to know. But the money aspect of it, with the scams and all that, don't worry about that. Use your own judgment. Use your own brains. You're an older man. You've been around, and they shouldn't be conning you out of money. I wouldn't worry about scammers when I'm online, but you have to like coming to the Philippines. You got to like living here. You can hear the water behind us. It's shady where we're at. It's a beautiful place. And I thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure to be here.
I'm in awe of the greatness.
No, stop it.
Yeah. Not you, Janet. I'm in awe of the greatness. She's running this camera for us. Yeah, she is. She's like 100 yards away doing everything. But anyway, guys, we're going to end this. We're going to thank Paul for joining us. And Janet and I say thanks for watching. Until next time, like and subscribe.
Bye, guys.